Welcome to Local Gods. My name is Marco Liu.
And I'm James Han.
And today we have the honor of having Tim Wu, aka Elephante. Welcome.
What's up? Thanks for having me.
So what's with this obsession with elephants, man? Explain, why is it the French pronunciation? Or is it even the French pronunciation? I'm not even sure.
Not French. I guess it would be Spanish, but it's like fake. It's nonsense pronunciation, really. So the name comes from I used to work a corporate job, and right out of college, and I had made music my whole life, but as a young Asian boy growing up in the 2000s, it's like
in LA.
No, in Michigan.
Michigan.
So that's why.
Oh, okay. Grew up in Michigan. Nice.
Being a musician wasn't a thing. Like, that's not a thing we did.
For sure.
Right. And so I loved making music. I played piano, I played guitar, I was writing songs, but it was like, in my subconscious, it's just like, okay, this is a hobby, right? And you go to college and you get a job. And so I did that. But while I was at the job, I was a consultant and I hated it. I was so unhappy.
Like Deloitte or one of those big
Yeah, I was at McKinsey.
Oh, McKinsey.
So I was so miserable. And so I'd spend all of my extra time, I'd leave work early to work on music. I'd
call in sick to make music.
Actually, be like, I'd rather eat dinner alone and go and work on music. I even installed Ableton on my work computer, which is total degenerate behavior.
Yeah.
Or entrepreneurial behavior.
You could call it that. So I was literally sitting in meetings, working on music.
Amazing. You didn't even have a separate laptop. You just, because then that would look like you're.
Yeah, I would be like, I look like I'm working tab out back to. And so the elephant in the room was that I wanted to make music. And so I quit my job. I quit McKinsey and went because I knew if I didn't give it a shot, I would never forgive myself. So it was about embracing the elephant in the room and becoming the elephant in the room. I don't know how I got from elephant to Elephante. I just thought it sounded cooler.
Add more
Okay.
Zhush to the name.
Yeah. Well, typical overachieving, humble Asian American, you forgot to mention where you went to school.
I went to Harvard.
Bro.
Is this news to you? I think it's news to a lot of people.
I missed that part of his profile.
There's no good way to say it.
Yeah?
Just say it with your chest. You were like,
to Harvard.
Yeah.
Well, the Harvard person of record has always been Conan O'Brien, where whenever you mess up, people would be like, you went to Harvard? Do you get that a lot?
I do get that a lot. There are not a lot of DJs coming from Harvard, and people are always like, why are you doing this? Shouldn't you be making money somewhere?
Damn. Rude.
But there seems to be a common thread with successful Taiwanese. Your folks are from Taiwan, right?
Yeah, my parents were born in Taiwan.
Okay.
My grandparents are from China.
Oh, you're just like my family then.
Yeah.
So
Chinese from
Weissen,
Taiwan. Yeah.
Right. Yep. Very cool. I always love digging that part out because for a lot of non-Taiwanese, they don't even think about it.
Yeah.
And even today, the whole concept of Benson, which is someone that goes back generations in Taiwan, versus Weissen, where your family essentially came over after the end of the Chinese Civil War.
Yep.
That's becoming less and less of a thing, but it still explains a lot. And going along with that, another Taiwanese Harvard grad was Jeremy Lin. And I think he even majored in the same thing as you did, economics, right? Were you guys classmates or contemporaries?
He was a year older than me.
Wow.
We had one class together that I didn't know that he was in until the end because he pulled up for one class at the end of the semester.
Typical baller. Wow.
I mean, even in school, he was like, "I'm going to the league," and everyone was like,
"Oh,
yeah.
Nice."
Everyone was like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." But then he balled out in that one NCAA tournament.
That's
and
right.
People were like, and he put 30 on Kemba or something, and we're like, "Oh shit!" He's actually good. And I'd run into him at parties and stuff, but he was he never drank. Very straight. He was always so focused on I'm going to the league. And he was locked in from college. So I didn't know him personally super well, but I would see him around.
Yeah.
Just casually, oh, it's Jeremy Lin.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's a 6'4" Asian dude, like he stands out.
Hard to miss.
You know?
Hard to miss. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So what's in the water? Because I think in many ways both you and Jeremy are living the Asian American dream of not only excelling in school and making your parents proud, but also doing something that you really love doing, something that's creative, something that's athletic. Like what's in the water, man?
I don't know, man. I think there's a certain level of psychosis and like.
Okay. So trauma's in the water?
I don't know. It's like almost like a disconnection from reality where you're like, oh yeah, I can be a famous musician, or it's like, oh yeah, I can go to the league, right? And for me, it was always interesting. I think about this story a lot. You know, the story of the 4-minute mile, where so for decades or whatever, like scientists would be like this. Running a 4-minute mile is physically impossible because of the human body, oxygen levels, whatever. And then one year, Roger Bannister, he did it. Like he ran the 4-minute mile. And then within like a year or two, like 15 other people did it. So it's just this like, once you think something is possible, it like flips a switch, right? Where it's like, oh, like the thing that everyone assumes can't be done, it's like you can actually do it. Like
someone's delusional.
You know,
if
it's like
someone is delusional enough to even attempt.
Yeah, right. It's like Steph Curry like shooting like 500 threes. Everyone's like, you can't do that and make all of it, and he did, and then now everyone does it, right? And so I think for us, it was like having that, like we don't care that it hasn't been done, and we're insane enough to go for it and like really believe in ourselves, and you know, disregard all of the social conditioning that, you know, we're supposed to be XYZ and be like, nah, fuck that. Like,
yeah,
I'm gonna do me.
Okay.
That's such an interesting perspective, because I would say both you and Jeremy Lin are pioneers in your own rights for your respective fields. How much of that was just throwing off the, I'll assume, conservative East Asian, like Taiwanese mentality, and how much of that was just growing into yourself and being your own person, right? Because there's like almost a double-edged sword aspect of it, because you had to overcome. Usually, like for your average American, they just have to overcome themselves.
Yeah.
But then for children of immigrants, you also have to overcome expectations or even fear, right? Where it's like, how's my kid going to survive in this cutthroat American world?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's both. It's definitely both. I know early on, I felt a lot of shame and self-loathing for being Asian and trying to be in a industry that hadn't been open to Asians previously. You know, obviously we had Steve Aoki, who is like the godfather, and, you know, he paved the way and like made it, you know, he was the first. But there is like, I when I started, I was like, okay, everyone's gonna think you're a nerd, or like, so you gotta go all the way the other way. You gotta like, you know, get shit-faced at every show. You gotta be like partying with people afterwards. You gotta be, you know, like,
oh, interesting.
And like really like distance myself from the Asian stereotypes. And like, I really didn't like, I didn't want to identify as it. Like, I didn't like talking about it because I already felt like I had
like a eunuch almost.
Exactly. And so, the first few years of my career, there was a lot of just like, no, like I'm going super hard the other way. And then it wasn't until, you know, pandemic really where, you know, as everything started to catch up to me, and as culture started to move, and I understood myself better and realized how much tension is creating within me, that, you know, being Asian is fundamental to who I am. It's like, it influences how I look at life, the way I write music, my experiences. And as a songwriter, I have to like be really honest with myself. And so kind of confronting that and accepting my identity and embracing it and being proud of who I am and how I was raised was like a huge, you know, that was a really pivotal moment for me as an artist and just as a person. So it's, you know, I think everyone goes through their own challenges on self-actualization. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, did you feel like being one of few Asians in your area, what kind of superpower do you think it gave you?
I think it made me unafraid to be different or unafraid to be an outsider or stand out. I think I've been looked at as like, get this, the double take like my entire life. And so
this is in Michigan, like in Ann Arbor area?
We had our, there's a pretty decent Asian community there, but like, when you go up north, like I'd go up north to like my buddies' cabins and like the gas station attendants would be like, never seen one of your kind around here. Like, not in like a get off my lawn way, but just like a, that's, a novelty, right?
We become like hypersensitive to that too, being in America.
So like by the time I like bleached my hair and started touring and people were like, oh, I was just like, yeah, I'm like used to people looking at me like I'm weird. And I guess one of my greatest attributes I would say is that I don't get stage fright. I don't really get embarrassed. So, that makes it easy to be a performer where I can just go up. If I fuck up, I'm like, whatever, that's, I guess that'd be the superpower I'd say.
That's a pretty big one. When would you say you started? Like if you had to put a start date to when your musical career started, like from that consulting gig, like working at McKinsey to Elephante.
So I kind of look at it they're like sort of two phases. One is like when I realized I love creating and writing music. And that was like in middle school. I had a crush on a girl and I was like, and she didn't like me, obviously. And I was like, well,
why obviously, man?
That hurts.
That's the villain arc. That's the start of the villain arc.
Bro, it was like some white girl that.
Yeah, it's definitely a white girl.
Oh, okay. See, I was right. Okay, I get it, bro.
I was like a chubby Asian kid. Like,
Oh, me too.
And I was like, but if I learn guitar and I write her a song, then she'll like me. And
hey there, Delilah.
Exactly. Didn't work. But I realized like, I love writing music. I love this process. And so that's what kind of carried me until that was always the love of it. And then I think what you're asking is when I knew I could make a living off of it. And that was when I signed with my agent in 2014. So it was about a year and a half after I quit my job.
Wow.
I'd saved up a little bit and was just living off savings and just grinding 10, 12 hours a day on music, hustling. I was putting out a illegal remix on the internet every 3 weeks for, a few years. And then just throwing my head against the wall. It's like, okay, I got 1,000 plays this week. Okay, next one, we hit 1,500. And then like, oh shit, we're back down to 1,200 and just again and again and again until one finally popped and like got to a couple million plays. It was on like SoundCloud and Hype Machine. I don't know if you guys remember.
What was the song?
Yeah.
It was a remix of Katy Perry.
No.
Okay, very cool.
Wow.
Yep. This is the Wild West where you just like, find acapellas on Google and then just put up your illegal remix. And it went kind of viral. That really got my name out there. And I did a remix of Lord that really popped off. And then that kind of got the attention of, people like the college scene. And so like frats started reaching out to book me. And then my agent at CAA reached out, and then once they signed me and like started getting me shows, that was like oh wait, I'm making money doing this.
Have you ever done like a corporate rave? I feel like
rave is generous, but I have
sorry. Oh yeah.
Like some massive corporate event where it's like, hey, it's Elephant.
Hey, definitely done those.
Or in like the boardroom, you're just like, it's like a small little thing.
No, it's like their holiday party kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right? And like everyone's getting drunk and like hitting on their coworkers.
That's fun in its own way.
That's
though, right?
so wild. Oh my God.
Early on, I'd be like, oh, this is beneath me. And then I was like, you know what? Like, I'm getting the bag right now. I don't care. And
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
I'm sure you probably have a lot of stories from there.
once you accept certain things as not a creative expression, you're like, I'm not being an artist right now. I'm here to
your service.
I'm here to perform a service that I'm getting paid handsomely for. Then you're like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit.
Would it ever occur to you like, hey, I actually used to be one of those guys?
Oh, all the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Actually, one of the big moments. So coincidentally, my agency CAA, they were at the same office as McKinsey.
No kidding.
So
full circle.
Yeah. So like, I remember when they like brought me in and they like gave me the address. I was like, no fucking.
Wait, the actual
same building
in
Century City. It's the same one. It's the Death Star.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like last time I'd been there, like I told my boss I was quitting, and he was like, "You're making a huge mistake." And I was like, "All right, thanks, peace."
Oh, he said that to you?
Oh yeah.
Why? I don't understand why people would say that.
Well, you got the last laugh.
Yeah, and then I like, they're like, "Hey, come into the office," and I was like, no fucking way. And I walked in, like, same entrance, same fucking food court. And like, but then I went to the other side of the building where they're like, it's the CAA side. And they're like, okay, well, like,
wow.
Would you want, like, they're like handing me waters and shit, like a fucking client.
Yeah,
like, come on up.
Yeah.
And, like,
let me rub your feet real quick, Yeah.
I felt like I was in Entourage. I was like, oh,
wow.
Shit. Like, yeah. I'm like,
Was your boss there? Was he still there?
It's like a movie scene.
That would be like such a cool
you're
movie
walking
scene.
past and you're like,
yeah.
yeah. He's like, oh my God, it's him.
Yeah.
Not even right in the elevator. You literally just walk. That's crazy.
Yeah, I just pulled up and was like, this is so fucking, I've been here like so many times, like hating my life. And,
wow.
like, thinking about how much free food I can steal from the office to, all right, now like I'm represented here. So
that's crazy.
That was a very cool moment.
Respect.
Yeah, for sure. I think during that time, you were also fortunate to just like catch the right timing too, right? Because I think when I first heard of you, it was a few years after this other Asian American DJ came on the scene, Zoo. And I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, the big urban legend, still remember seeing like Reddit forums talking about it, where it's like, did you know Zoo is Asian? And people were like, what? He's Asian?
Wait, he spells it Z-H-U.
I know, I was like...
That's like Asian as hell.
Yeah.
Hey, man. I mean, like, imagine your average frat bro,
yeah,
too,
but
right?
to the point is, like, at that point, people didn't expect it, right?
Yeah.
So even though it was, like, hitting you over the head with it, it was like, oh, there's no way. It's just, like, some,
Really?
Yeah, it was... People didn't know. He
didn't show his face?
He didn't show his face for the first few years.
Oh, in concert?
Or online or anything. It was just, like, a face in shadow. He didn't, and like he would perform behind the curtain for a while.
The curtain.
But again, I don't know him. I've never met him personally, but I would imagine there's like a similar dynamic there where it's like people don't expect that, and like I think as soon as they knew you're Asian, it's like it like changes the context of like how you automatically perceive them. And he was making like cool ass sexy house music, right? Which is like not wasn't really what you'd expect.
Sure, yeah.
I remember distinctly like Faded, right? That was his big track that blew up, and it's exactly as you described. And when like that rumor started gaining more weight, like it was a really weird moment. This is like one of those old-timey millennial Asian American stories, right? Where like I think a fun part of this show is we're reflecting on things that honestly were just a few years ago, but have had like a seismic effect on the life of especially Asian Americans and Asians across the world, really. But there was a whole discussion of like, okay, so there's one of us that's good enough to hit the stage, but apparently he isn't acceptable enough or good enough to have his face shown. Like, is he like Quasimodo? Like, is there something wrong with Asians? Like, it was just this strange like internal conversation where it's like, what the hell? Like, it's great that we actually have someone, and I think Zoo is his actual last name, right? And then it's like, oh, we're not going to show his face, and so the benefit that the community is able to derive from him being Asian was never even there. And then to see someone like you and Giraffage, right? Like, is there something about like animal names and Taiwanese DJs?
Bro, if you knew how many times I've gotten confused for Giraffe.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh my God.
Yeah. an easy mistake to make, to be honest.
Yeah.
Although I think he's like 6'3", so I'm like, yeah, I can pull that
Very
off.
different looks from what I understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, like how do you reflect on that? Because I think honestly, you and Giraffage were like the only Asian American DJs where it's like, oh, they're actually showing their faces, and then from then it kind of spread, right?
Yeah. It very much was a right place, right time situation. I think both from, like I mentioned, the technological side where it was like the Wild West of being able to just upload music on the internet, right? I always think I hit this like perfect sweet spot of where I could make music in my apartment. I didn't have to, and then I could also put it online for people to hear it. Like 10 years earlier, I would have had to sign to a label to get my music in stores, and like, there's no fucking way anyone's signing me, right? And then 10 years after, like now, there's so much content out there. It's just like equally, it's the opposite problem where it's just like, it's really easy to get stuff out there, but it's really hard to like cut through the noise. So there's like technologically, but also culturally where it's like, yeah, you're right. When I was starting, there's, Steve Aoki was like the one guy, but he was so famous that it like almost didn't, it's not, it didn't count, but it was like not comparable. Right.
Sure.
But yeah, it was like me. And then I think the technology enabled our music to be heard, and people are like, oh shit, this is dope. Right. And so it was like, I remember early on it was me and Manila Killa, Zoo, Arm & Hammer, Dabin was a couple of years later. He was like 2015, 16, I think. But we all kind of like had this wave where I think we maybe were able to like get in people's ears as like, oh, this music's dope. And then before they realize that, and then I think Asian fans have always loved dance music. Like there's, all the way back to like OG Trans Fam days, right? And then I think so there's like a natural connection. And for me, I never really thought about, I just didn't want to wear a mask. I thought it was corny. So I was like, I guess my face is my face. So
you weren't in a Daft Punk mood,
Nah,
it's too much.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. And I'm like, there's already Dead Mouse.
Yeah.
Like,
Marshmallow. Come on.
I mean, yeah. Marshall, it's funny. I remember talking to, I was friends with him, and we were just this is a side note, but he was like, yeah, man, I just started this new side project. It's called Marshmallow. And like, I got a bucket on my head, and I was like, oh, cool, man. And in my house, like, that sounds fucking whack. And then, like, fast forward, like, what the fuck do I know?
Yeah. Now it's a light up bucket.
No,
LED powered.
Dude, that shit is sick. I don't know, like,
I've seen it.
It's like fiberglass. It's really nice. It's like air conditioned.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
like
okay.
It's like
full on ecosystem in and
it's
of
fucking
itself.
sick.
Hey, it's like an Iron Man.
No, actually, and like he has
Wow.
like different programmable LEDs and shit.
Wait, the air conditioned is very appealing.
Oh yeah, it's
That's so smart.
oh yeah, because that shit's hot. But
That's how he does it.
yeah, was it? I got off topic. Anyway, yeah, no. So it was like I think we were just kind of there, and early on, I didn't realize how important it was. I think at the time, I was just kind of trying to find myself as an artist, find my sound, and I didn't really think about like the context of being Asian. Like that was all way too big for me to think about. But then I don't think it was until years later when like, now that I've been doing this for a long time, like the number of fans who have come up and been like, yo, it meant so much to see like someone who looked like me up there. And like, from the very beginning, I've been listening to you since XYZ, and like, and so, yeah, it really, like early on, I think I was like, toxic brain of myself was like, fuck, man, if I was white, I'd be fucking so big. And then, but then now it's like, it was, looking back, it was such a blessing, right? Because it's like, I have all of these really diehard, authentic fans that,
That's so nice.
I may or may not have had otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, as you mentioned, they were like, about damn time, because if you went to any massive in Southern California, especially, like, I felt like 80% of the audience was Asian. And to finally see someone on the stage looking like you was a big deal.
Yeah, I mean,
He's like, it's no big. Yeah.
No,
because you were living it.
I didn't think about it, right? I was just like,
you were in it.
I was in it. I was just trying to grind out a living. Like, I'm too busy trying to like keep my life together from, tour, like figuring out how to survive on tour when I'm, getting shit faced every night, and then also coming home and making music, and like, I'm actually not making as much money as everyone thinks. And like, I got to build my socials, and like, I got to get this festival slot. Like, there's just so much like, you're just constantly in survival mode. And I think it's, at least for me, it's really hard to like think about the bigger picture of stuff. And like, I didn't like, I never thought I was like waving a flag or doing it for like that feels so like, that felt a little like big-headed. Yeah, like I'm an icon. Like I never, like I was just like, I just want to do me. And
too Taiwanese and humble to think that way. I get it.
I'm a Michigan boy. What can I say?
Yeah. Well, like since you reminded us, like, let's toast.
I know. Let's try this. Toast to that. Yeah. Pioneer,
so Thank you, Case, for sponsoring us with some drinks.
Oh my God.
You see, we have green tea and peach. We have jasmine tea and apple.
Yeah, I got the lychee right here.
Yeah, passion fruit and lychee.
Wow.
I've actually had this before. It's banger.
Yeah.
Dude,
like, no. Really good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yo, this is our first sponsor, dude.
White flavor.
Our first sponsor.
Yeah. Shout out to Case.
Shout out to
Cus.
Oh, did you just break it?
Just broke it. That's all. That's me.
Oh my God.
How'd you break?
My bad.
Cheers.
Cheers, y'all. Cheers, y'all. Pretty good. So, speaking of Taiwan, I'm sure you've been able to travel all over the world. Mm-hmm. Have you performed in Taiwan, and like where have you performed?
I have not played in Taiwan, unfortunately.
Wow.
I have played. The only places I've played in Asia are in Manila and Jakarta. I'd love to get back there. One thing that I've learned over my career is that all of these places, these markets in Asia, they really are their own thing. Like, you have to develop you have to build with them and like do stuff. And it's not like just get big in the States and show up and be like, hi.
Not that simple. Yeah.
Hey, like worship me, right? It doesn't work that way. Like you got to like build with the culture there, right? And obviously if you're Drake, it's, that's a different story, but just as like a sort of, whatever size artist you want to call me, it's like you do have to develop. And for me, it was always just more of a priority of building in the States, just because
that's home, right?
It's home, and it's like it's really expensive to go there, and it's like the tax of artists is like, okay, we got to get you out there, and you're going to lose money the first couple times you go out there. You're going to go like play for really cheap. You're going to take it on the chin, and then if you do well, then maybe you can go back, break even, do well again. Then maybe 5 years down the line, you can start making money.
Now that you're in a different place in your career, are there places you would want to go?
Yeah, I mean, look, it was like, it's also another thing about being an artist is there's so much that's out of your control, right? Like I had a lot of plans to go to Asia in 2020, and then pandemic hit, right? Yep. And then it's 2 years later, and like once it's like available to go out, like now the economy in China has crashed, so now they're not throwing shows, or hey, like they've moved, like now everyone's going to K-pop shows instead, and it's just like it's constantly shifting, and it's just, there is an element of luck and things that are out of your control. And, I would love to get out there and, actively working on getting back out to Asia because it's so much fun. And it's, it's just one of those things where hopefully the stars align.
Good. You heard it here first. I love putting on for my fellow Taiwanese. So you have someone right here, a Taiwanese, internationally known DJ, Taiwan Ziguang, which in Mandarin means glory of Taiwan, light of Taiwan.
He's
Taiwan,
blushing.
Taipei,
He's
Kaohsiung,
blushing,
everywhere. Bring your boy out to Taiwan to perform, man. You'll love it. That's a true Taiwanese response. Like, oh no.
My mom would be proud.
For sure. Have your parents gone to a show before?
They have.
Wow.
Yeah, they've been to a few now. The first one was, I'd say, like 2017 or 18. Funny story, actually. So when I quit my job, I told my mom, because me and my mom are homies. And, she was mostly worried. She was like, I know how much you hate it, but just like, don't get addicted to drugs. And I was like,
what a good mom.
Classic mom, classic.
Duly noted mom.
Classic Asian mom.
And also very present. Like she knew what the dangers were.
Like, I'll do my best. And then but she was like, don't tell your dad yet. I was like, okay, all right.
Very smart, wise Taiwanese mom.
And then so I was like, I was doing this, and then like to my dad, I was just doing it on the weekends. And then I had a big show in Michigan, actually, and I went back and stayed at home. So at Michigan State, it was like a big thing. I was playing with Galantis.
Wow. Okay.
We went, and they were like, it was a banger. And my dad, because if you try to explain DJing to your Chinese parents, it's like, wait, they're like, wait, so you're playing other people's music? Do you get money for that?
Yeah, I get the concept is crazy.
It's like, no, that's...
Are you just pressing play? Like what?
That's a fair concern. And but then they came out and they saw the show, and then they're like, oh my God. And then my dad was like, so you're not working at McKinsey anymore? I was like...
That's how he found out?
Yeah. Wow. But no, he was cool with it. And then... the funniest story actually is, so I was playing Lollapalooza.
Oh, wow.
Huge moment for me. It's like I grew up seeing the posters, and so I'm playing, my parents are there. It's in Chicago. I'm about to go on. There's like a 15-minute changeover between the acts. And so we're at the Perry stage. There are like 15,000 kids there. And I'm like getting all jacked up. I'm like so hopped on adrenaline. We're side stage. And then I look up, and my dad has just wandered onto the front of the stage just with his phone out.
I love it.
Wow. Just like with his cell phone videotaping.
That's so cute.
And I was like, Dad, you can't do that.
Dude, they're going to mosh, Dad. Get
like,
out of there.
Like, you can't. No, he was on stage. Like, he was
he was on stage?
He was literally on stage.
No cares.
No cares. He was just like fucking with his video.
Wow.
And then, I was like, Dad, you can't do that. And he's like, oh, sorry.
That's so adorable.
You go, Wu Baba. Wow, that's amazing.
Hey.
And then so they're like, there's super supportive, super proud now, and I think my dad's actually like, he would never admit, but I think he's low key a little jealous because like he has that performance gene too. He loves being the life of the party.
Okay.
He likes to sing. He like is always holding court at parties. So I think he's like, damn, like I wish I was,
if only they heard my voice.
Yeah, exactly, straight up.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
That's honestly probably the most heartwarming and wholesome thing we've had on this podcast.
Yeah, that's so sweet, man.
And it reminds me of how like at the heart of hearts for a lot of immigrant parents, not only do they want their kids to be happy, but they want their kids to be living dreams that they wish they had or that they didn't even have the capacity to have. So I think, man, beyond just making your parents proud, like you're living out a dream for them.
100%. And this took me a while to come to terms with and really mature enough to understand, but I had a lot of problems with my dad growing up. He was very traditional, like, you listen to me, like you're majoring in this, you're doing this. And, over time, this was like only a few years ago, but then I like came to terms, I like understood after a while, because so he's an entrepreneur as well, and so he worked for Ford and GM, and then he quit and started his own business. And so we were kind of talking, and I was like, and we're like, it was like a game recognized game thing where I was like, he was like, look, I know how hard starting from nothing is. I didn't want you to have to go through that. And I was like, I get it. I know how hard it is now, but also like you have to understand, like, you didn't want anyone telling you what to do. You didn't do the thing that like, you didn't just stay at a job and have a stable life. Like you fucking went for it too. So like
it's your fault, Dad.
Well, I was like, I mean, are you
runs in
surprised?
the family?
Yeah. Are you surprised that I also was not able to have a job? And and so it was like understanding that all of his like admittedly bullshit, was like he wanted, like, I didn't understand how difficult it was for an immigrant, right?
Yeah.
Especially at that time, right? It's like I didn't appreciate as a kid how unbelievably challenging that is, and for them to not want their kids to have to go through that is, and like, so if it comes across as controlling or traditional or bullshit or whatever, but it always came from a good place.
Yeah. I think that's spot on, because just putting yourself in your parents' shoes, I think for all of us, where going thousands of miles away to a country where people don't look like you and they speak a different language and there's a different culture, that in of itself, that's entrepreneurial, that's pioneering, takes a ton of courage, a lot of heart, and we take it for granted.
Bro, I learned this recently, but there is Vincent something, I forget his name, but he was a auto worker in Detroit in the, I want to say,
Vincent Chin.
Yeah. And he got beaten to death by like 3 white dudes because they thought he was Japanese. And like they lost their jobs. And he was like a Chinese like draftsman, like he had nothing to do with it. And like my dad worked in the auto industry like at that time, so it's like,
he remembers him.
I don't think he knew him personally, but it's like this you know, Asian guy just got beaten to death. Like, so like I understand when he's like, dude, keep your head down, like just, you know, straight and narrow, like,
for sure.
You know, it's like to have that as the dynamic. Like, you know, if I thought for whatever difficulties I had, it was like so much harder for them. And so it, you know, as you get older, you understand why your parents are the way they are.
Yeah. I mean, the context too is like he was, not only was he not Japanese, he was Chinese American. Like he was like born and raised in the States. Yeah. And he was actually partying with his friends. They were having a mini bachelor party. And when he was passing out from being beaten to death, I think his last words was, "It's not fair." Yeah. And I think, Asian Americans, really people as a whole, just like be thankful that we live in the time we are right now, where we had people like our parents and other folks that pioneered the way for us, so that it's no longer foreign to see a face like Tim's, like you on stage, like leading crowds and all that, right?
Yeah, and I think, look, moving to LA was like a huge culture shock for me, because it was like, in Michigan, we were always the other, right? It was always like, you know, the good students, whatever. And then I moved to LA and I'm like, wait, they're like Asian dudes with 6-packs. Like, wait, that dude can dunk. Wait, that dude skateboards, right?
You saw Jeremy Lin though. You didn't see him dunk?
Nah. Once in a blue moon.
Yeah. No, but like I'm talking like just like walking on the street, right? Like seeing
just
like
some casual hooper, just
casually hooping, and like you know, it was like, wait, they're like Asian dudes that are like the prom king, right? It's like it's much more. It was much more integrated in Southern California. Like they're a generation or two ahead of where we were in Michigan, right? To where it was like, you know, it's like all
for sure
much more accepted and familiar, right? It wasn't as much of a novelty. So.
Yeah, LA is kind of like that, man. Yeah. It's its own world, bro.
Yeah. I think, does that perspective, both as an artist and as an Asian American, kind of inform what you do with Hidden Horizon, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I started an artist collective and label called Hidden Horizon, and it was, the impetus behind it was a lot of what we've talked about how when I was coming up, I didn't have a community. I didn't feel like I had a sense of identity or a home, and how important that is for an artist to like making that first leap into, I like making music too, I am making a career doing this, is like, that's the hardest leap there is. And so I wanted to create a culture and a community to where that I wish I had when I first came up. So, you know, being able to have, you know, giving advice to just sort of the next generation, like just pointing them in the right direction, like putting them in touch with people, like
that's cool.
Giving feedback on music, be like, and a lot of it is just the confidence of like, no, this is good. Like, this is good. Like the quality is there, right? Because for years and years, I'd be like, am I not getting bigger because my music's not good, or you know, is it because of this or that? And like just being like, for me to be like, yo, music's banging, don't worry about it, this is what you have to focus on, right? And just having those kind of discussions and, you know, collabing with these younger artists and just creating a community of artists and creatives, and then also, for the fans, right? Giving them like sort of a crew to root for, right? Because in dance music, there are a lot of crews, right?
Yeah.
There's, you got the like Ophelia crew, you got the like, the Slander Good Vibrations crew, like everyone, like you have the Millennium crew, like there's all these communities around, different artist groups, and usually it's sort of genre based. And so I wanted to kind of create like a cultural crew, where it's just, creatives supporting each other.
Well, with your own baseball jerseys and soccer kits now, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, the idea started because so 2 tours ago, for my album Heavy Glow, I went on tour and I found a couple cats from Vancouver, Sabah and Huang. They were, they had a song that I really liked, and I was like, shit, like, let's get them out. And then like hanging out with them and just like putting them in front of my fans and like giving them their first like real proper tour like across the country, and like just hanging out with them and like becoming boys with them and like working on music with them. And then after that, they went off and they did a tour, and then they both blew up. Like they started, absolutely popping off. And obviously, I'm not taking credit for it. They've done their own work, but just like what little push I could give them, even if it's just the confidence of like, hey, you can be on stage and you can be that guy, right? That was really fulfilling to me. And it's like, if I can help do that for, all the next generation of artists, like that is, in a lot of ways, I feel more proud of that than I do for like achievements in my own career now. So,
wow.
So you're like big bro, camp counselor, like kind of it all, like
dude,
mentor.
I love that shit, man. It's like,
wow.
And it keeps it fresh for me too, right? Because look, I've been touring for over 10 years, and like a lot of it can get old, and you're like, all right, this is, and I try not to get jaded, but then it's like, I pull up and I'm like, I don't really give a shit. I'm like, but then you see how excited they are. They're like, oh my God. They're like, this is like, dude, did you see that guy in the corner? And I'm like, I mean, I was looking at like the empty space over there, but, like, because I always think about the negatives, right? And then you just see it through their lens of like, this is the fucking, I'm living the dream. This is the coolest shit ever. And I'm like, dude, man, but we didn't like, we were like 50 tickets from selling out, and I'm like, I'm always thinking of the worst part of it. And they're like, dude, this is amazing, and just how like, and it just kind of reminded me, this shit is supposed to be fun, right? This shit is, you're living the dream. And
it's nice to have that young energy around.
Oh, so it's so good, right? And it's like, okay, like there's a reason why we're doing this, right? And you don't let the bullshit and jadedness wear you down.
Wow.
For your look, like, do you want to maybe explain to our audience, like, what? Oh, okay, we're getting.
Are we getting a spin?
Okay, spin. No, don't, you don't gotta do a spin. Nah. All
right, I guess you are.
So explain the look for us, or like, what was the thought, intention?
So the thought, this is a vintage kimono. I got it in Amsterdam. Allegedly, it's from Japan, vintage.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. The pants are Yoji.
Okay.
Shoes are these Adidas collabs.
They look super comfy.
Adidas and acronym collabs. They're
oh yeah. Okay.
Acronym. And this is a shirt from a Mike Snow concert from 15 years ago.
Dude, Mike Snow.
The look is, I don't put a ton of like, I want this, right? It's just like whatever I think's cool. But then I got really into, sort of the Asian inspired fashion stuff. Like I love Japanese fashion, and I think like, so I've been wearing a lot of robes and kimono style things, and I think, doing a modern twist on sort of like stereotypical Asian looks, but like making it look dope, right? Is something that I'm really excited by. So, the takes on the traditional Chinese blue suit with like, that style of button, right?
Oh, 中山装.
Yeah. So like, I really like pieces with like those
like embellishments.
Yeah, like the loopy.
Yeah.
Oh, the Chinese knots.
Yeah, the knot things, like things like that, and yeah, it's just trying to. I really like 3/4 length sort of robe type things, and yeah, to me it's just like finding stuff that I think is kind of evokes that aesthetic, but like in a sort of modern twist kind of way.
Fresh but distinguished.
Exactly.
Cool.
You know, a lot of the basically trying to do like the Visvim stuff but like I can't afford the Visvim stuff, so you know.
Understood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're joining us towards the end of a tour, as well as like an album that you've been rolling out to, Cope. I think as we're wrapping up, can you tell us more about like the inspirations behind the album and what's been like going on tour, especially because I saw that there was obviously a ton of work right before the pandemic and then intermittent work afterwards. So what brings us to Cope and how's the tour been?
Yeah, so the origin of Cope is since pandemic, I was having a lot of challenges with my mental health. I went through a really, really ugly breakup right before the pandemic, like literally right before. So it was like breakup into pandemic, like this double whammy of
You
like.
just had to be alone after that.
Yeah, and so went through a lot of. Why am I doing this? Should I quit? Should I find something else to do? I've spent my whole adult life working on this thing. I don't even know if I'm ever going to play shows again, and just really dark place, and you know, really dark, you know, deep depression. And so one of the ways that helped, besides, you know, started therapy and, you know, was writing songs about my experience, and that was kind of how I coped, right? I'd write about what was going on, and as time went on, you know, these songs kind of emerged, and I saw that every day I was seeing the world through like different colored tinted lenses. It was like almost like I was a different person every day, right? Like some days I just didn't want to get out of bed, and then another day I'd be like, nah, fuck that, like I'm the GOAT, like you know, or like some days I'd be like, you know, like, fuck this, like, I'd, you know, be really angry. And then other days, you know, be hopeful. And so each day it was like, I had to just see the world how I wanted to see it just to get through the day. And so as I was writing these songs, it kind of became a story of how I was getting through all of my trauma, my emotional trauma. And so then the album is loosely based around the stages of grief. And, you know, denial to bargaining to, you know, all the way through acceptance into hope again. And so I realized, you know, when I write an album, I want to feel really cohesive and have like a larger narrative. And as soon as that sort of clicked, I was like, okay, this is what the album is. So we put that out and then went on tour, starting in the end of January. Been through 20 out of 22 shows, I think. Got a couple more, but it's been amazing. It's like really reinvigorated my excitement for touring. It's the first album that I finished and I still like the album. Like every other album I
That's
like
put it down. That's a big deal, honestly.
Yeah.
It's really
so easy
is.
to get sick of because you're hearing it all the time, mixing it, mastering it, and then content and
yeah, but I'm like still really proud of the record, which is like, you know, a big step for me.
Yeah.
But I started my first live show, so I'm bringing out. I brought a drummer on tour, and I'm playing guitar and singing and playing keys, and that's been a very challenging, kind of scary experience. Hour and a half.
Hour and a half.
Yeah, and so
live the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it's a lot.
Dude, that's a lot. I thought you just maybe spin for like, you know, half of it.
No, so the live shows are fully live, and it's
okay.
You know, it's a completely different thing now, and I love doing new things, and I thrive when I don't really know what I'm doing. So it's like, I have this idea, let's figure out how to make it happen. So, you know, when you make an album, it's like you're by yourself all the time and you're really in your head and you're like, you finish, you're like, are people going to like this? Or, you know, and then you put out an album, and especially nowadays, just with sort of TikTok culture and internet culture, people's attention spans are so short. It's like, are people going to want to listen to an album? And then, but going out on tour and seeing people sing the album cuts back, like they know the words to like the deep cuts. That's like, okay, I did my job.
That's
like
it.
this is why we do it. Because like maybe not everyone knows it, but like that couple in the corner, like they ran to the front for this song. Like this person knew every single word, right? It's like those little micro interactions where you're like, okay, this meant something to them.
And you see them.
And you see them and you get that feedback, and they come up after and they tell you, and they're like, you know, this really helped me through this moment in my life, or like this helped me, like I was really struggling and this song, you know, meant a lot to me. Right? And like, that's why we do it. That's why I do it. And it's really sort of re-inspired my, you know, just excitement for making music. And I'm just so grateful that I get to do that.
Sure. I hear a lot of appreciation in your fan interactions. Like, what are some things that stick out to you, especially because you've had well over a decade's worth of fans that have been with you since like the McKinsey days onwards, probably, right?
Yeah, man. It is crazy. I think, like having a wedding proposal at a show was a big one.
Like they
proposed,
went on stage, and like, did the guy ask you beforehand, or?
Yeah, they DM me before. They're like, hey, I want to do this. Like, would you
allow this?
Will you? I was like, yeah, absolutely. So
Oh my gosh.
I like stopped the show and was like, you know, I have a very important thing. They came on and proposed.
Oh, so people probably thought like, oh my God, what's happening?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And it's like, hey, yo, come out, bro.
Yeah, that was really cool. People getting tattoos is like fucking crazy.
That's insane, actually.
Absolutely insane.
Like your name?
I've
like
gotten
a
a couple
logo?
signatures, like logo. I've never done just like Tim. that would be kind of fucked
Just
up.
generic Tim
Yeah,
on
just-
there.
Tim on the chest right here,
know,
near my heart.
I've had like people send me like walking down the aisle to my songs.
That's
Oh, wow.
That's
great.
really cool.
Yeah.
People telling me like, hey, we met at one of your shows and now we're married and have a kid. Like, that's really fucking cool. You know, I think it's just like being a part of people's, like the pivotal core moments in people's lives is like, that's,
What a treat, man.
yeah, it's really, I really try to not take it for granted. And it's like, you know, and like, of course, you know, when people travel to shows, like when they like someone, like I just played in Miami and someone flew from Australia, like to, you know, I was like, that's insane.
Yeah.
You know, people will like make me art and stuff, like these beautiful pieces, and they'll like give it to me. And it's like, that's also, you know, that means a lot also.
Incredible. Yeah.
Wow. Well, it sounds like you connect a lot with your fans, and we're honestly connecting a lot with you and your experiences.
Yeah.
I think a lot of inspirational stories and a lot of really good reminders too.
Dude, it's a weird fucking life, and you know, I'm very grateful that, and when I take a step back, I'm like, I don't know how all this happened, but it is really, you know, it's those little moments that, you know, sustain you through all the bullshit in the industry, of which there's a lot. But you know, you remind yourself of why you do it. And like those moments are at least why I do it.
Is there like a longtime fan that you constantly see at shows, or are just very present?
Yeah, there are a few. They're like a couple super fans that I've like, you know, I've become friends with because I just see them all the fucking time. And
Wow.
That's cool.
and I'm like, they'll just show up and I'll be like, dude, you have my number. Text me so I can give you guest lists. Like, stop paying for tickets. Like, you've been to 1,000 shows. Like, stop.
Yeah.
But they're doing it because they really believe in you.
100%. Yeah, they're
Wow.
supporting, but I'm like, dude, you're like a friend. Like, I will get you backstage. And they're like,
Yeah.
nah. And no, I just want to support. You know, there are a couple guys who they're from Texas, and starting from like, I saw them in Texas one weekend, and then I think like a month later I was playing in San Diego, and I see them there again. I'm like, aren't you from Texas? They're like, yeah, we flew out for your show. And I was like, y'all are insane. And then, they'll appear at random places. And then, actually they came to LA for my tour, and one of them had just gotten married or just got engaged, and they had his bachelor party there. And it was
Wow. But that's kind of a cool thing from the fans' perspective.
Yeah.
Like, not only being able to have like a big life event, but now it's like, hey, we also love this artist.
Yeah.
Why not add that to the itinerary?
Yeah.
That's like so fun when you plan friends trips and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's cool that y'all have someone in common to go to, and you play enough for people to like.
Yeah. And so like they made these like goofy ass bachelor party shirts. And, like, I'll trade you my show outfit for one of the shirts. So I have one of the shirts now too.
Cool.
So it's cool, man.
Engagements, weddings, first birthdays, anniversaries,
Corporate raves.
cover it all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it all.
And you do what you got to do. It's a crazy life.
For sure. Well, Elephante, Tim, we were so happy and honored to have you on our show. We have a gift for you,
Oh shit.
exclusive only to our first season guests. Local GODZ hat.
Oh.
I thought you were gonna say it was a case of.
You can take that too. Wait,
For sure.
Hell yeah.
There you
This
go.
is fire.
Dodger Blue, baby. Sorry, I know Detroit.
So you
but-
can fit into
I fuck with the Dodgers.
Oh,
Hey,
okay.
I love it. I love it.
I'm not a Tigers fan.
Oh, okay. It's tough. It's tough. Hey, it kind
Looks
of works
good.
with the blue and
It
the
looks
orange.
good. It
Complementary
pops.
colors, man.
Pops, yeah.
Los Dodgers.
Spoken like a true local.
Yours.
We love ending our episodes with 3 questions.
Yeah, man. So one question is, where do you consider home? Now that you've lived in LA,
LA, 100%.
LA is home for you.
LA is home. I've been here almost as long as anywhere else in my life. I'm like been in LA 15 years, and I left Michigan when I was 17, so getting close.
Wow.
But LA is where I became the person I want to be, and I think being in the city was a huge part of it. And I'm so grateful to like have found the community that accepted me with my friends. It's the place where I embraced being a musician and an artist and really leaned into being the person I wanted to be. So LA is 100%.
Well said.
Live and die in LA, man.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so when friends visit LA, what's like a restaurant or place that you're just like, we have to go?
So if we're like trying to ball out, I would say Major Domo
Okay.
downtown.
Nice.
That is-
Shout out to David Chang.
Shout out to David Chang. That's my favorite restaurant in LA. If we're trying to stay local, I live in East Hollywood, which is really popping off right now. There's this amazing cafe and sandwich joint and Filipino place on Western, Cafe Telegrama, Giada, and Kuya
Oh,
Lord.
Cafe Telegrama. I've heard of it. I haven't been yet.
That's like my local spot. It's like where I walk the dog and go to
Giada, and then what was the third spot?
Kuya Lord.
Kuya Lord.
Kuya
Okay.
Lord, okay.
Shout out to Chef Lord Maynard.
Oh hell yeah, we got
Man, James Beard Award winner.
yes sir.
Wow.
I mean, isn't that fucking cool? Like
so cool.
just like a dude, it's like a hole in the wall, and just making Filipino food and getting awards.
Badass, bro.
Folks, Tim is a LA local. Like those answers only a LA local can give.
Hell yeah.
Props.
Damn. Oh, okay. And last one is, what's currently on your music rotation? Like, what are you listening to right now at the top of your liked playlists? What's
Right at this instant is the Skrillex album that just dropped.
Okay.
I saw it. I haven't listened to it yet.
God, it just like it brought me back and just like made me so excited for EDM again.
Wow.
Hey, why? Well, I give me a little spark notes, cliff notes.
He's just the GOAT. He was the reason why one of the reasons why I went from being like a singer-songwriter to like falling in love with electronic music, because he like made my head explode with like the analogy I like to give is before, when I was like playing guitar and singing, it was like I was drawing in pencil, and then like hearing Skrillex was like introducing me to paint. Right?
Wow.
Because it's like
Changing mediums. That's crazy.
Skrillex is freaking insane.
well, right, because it's like it's not notes. It's not like something you can write on a. It's not like it's texture and it's sounds. And so, I've always loved him. But then he just has this ability to like find what's good about what's kind of fresh, but then also push the genre into like insane sounds that you never think would work. But
His mixes are insane. I still don't know how he does that.
he's just the goat.
Okay.
And before that, it was the Gracie Abrams album. So
Okay.
Okay.
I am
Sick.
Wow.
yeah.
Eclectic. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, Tim Wu, Elephante, thank you so much for being on Local Gods, and we hope to catch you at a show sometime and connect in person again.
Yes, sir. Pull up.
All right.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Thanks.
Peace, guys.
Peace.